what the actual tactical elements of that is? Like, how much of businesses are you looking to buy? How does the process look of flipping businesses like that over what time period? Like, what's the end goal for you? I'm just curious.
So for us, our goal is to build our portfolio of businesses to $1 billion a year in revenue, and that's just kind of really just a pie in the sky goal. I'll live my life just fine. I'm not somebody who's obsessed with that type of thing. It just seems like a fun goal to go after.
Yeah.
Right now, just for context, our companies do about $85 million a year in revenue, and the way that acquisition.com works is my thesis behind it is I believe that education is being increasingly fragmented. And so my thesis behind this is that I want to find the people who have the best product in specific niches. And so Naval Ravikant said this, and I like it a lot. Technology democratizes consumption and consolidates production, which means if you're the best in the world, you get to do it for everyone. And so I think that as colleges become less and less valuable, right, and more expensive, the price to value discrepancy is higher and higher every year, right? More and more people are looking for alternative education sources because the demand for education and skills, I don't think will ever go away. I just think that colleges up to this point had, quote, a monopoly on kind of young people. But the reality is that they no longer provide value. And so people still, the demand is there. And I think that's what's given birth to the entire coaching guru explosion that's happened over the last, decade or 2 decades, whatever.
What's the process of actually making bonuses and guarantees that, from all different elements and all different ways of looking at it are going to be the best overall for you and your specific business and your avatar for the long term?
I think, and that's a great question, I think that it comes from deep knowledge of the avatar that you're serving. And most of the times you don't need to do an unconditional guarantee that like you were just referencing, like a complete money back guarantee. Like there's 4 types of guarantees for everyone who's listening. There's unconditional, which is what Kevin just mentioned. There's conditional guarantees, which is I'll give your money back if you X, Y, and Z, which is like if you show up at the gym and you log your weight and you eat the meals and you send me a picture, whatever it is, right? So that would be a conditional guarantee. There's anti-guarantees, which is all sales are final, and it's because, and you have to give a reason why all sales are final. And the 4th is an implied guarantee, which is based on performance, which would be like in a business B2B scenario, be a profit sharing or something like, or a rev sharing off top line of new business that I generate. That would be, it's an implied guarantee because I don't get paid unless I provide value, right? But right. The process of adding the bonuses and guarantees is to think about what are the true obstacles that are occurring in the prospect's minds that are preventing them from making the decision to buy from you.
Generally, those types of businesses aren't as sellable as others. So is your end goal to sell it or just to build up like just an enormous amount of cash flow?
The answer is yes. And so I look at Warren Buffett is like my hero. And the idea for him is like, he's like, why would I sell a business if I think it's excellent and it pumps out like cash flow, right? And so for him, and the metrics that he looks at business is owner earnings, right? Net free cash flow that beyond the reinvestment to sustain the competitive advantage still spits off cash. And that's very much how I've seen business as well. So I feel like I share that with him. And so I'm a big cash flow guy. I like having cash flow. All my businesses are very cash flow heavy. But the difference I think is like I believe we successfully have made our gym company, which was at its start Alex's consulting company, right? Gym, and then it has now become Gym Launch, which is kind of a standalone company that consults with gyms.
Right. And in my experience, you go and look at Walmart, and Walmart has all these sales and this and that. They don't need to do that, right? They know exactly what their cost of goods sold are. They know exactly what they want their profit margin to be, and they could just list it, the way that it's meant to be. And there was a famous CEO of JCPenney who actually did something similar to that, and it just like ruined their business, right? What would you say to people who are like, well, I don't need to do all these kind of like gimmicky sort of things with bonuses and guarantees and price stacking and all of that?
Well, I would say if you're in a situation where you say you don't need to do that and you're not making sales, then one of us is wrong.
What are the core elements of kind of creating your first Grand Slam offer, and what is a Grand Slam offer, to create a product or service that people genuinely want?
Yeah, I think the reason that the marketing community at large had such an overwhelming response, that was even beyond my expectation for the book, was because there weren't a lot of books on product, right? And so despite the fact that it's known in the marketing community, I think it's because there's not a lot of books on actually creating product, and a lot more of it is on the selling it. But I think that a lot more of the work, you have to do less work selling if the product is right. And so a Grand Slam offer should, if designed properly, do a lot of that work for you. And so the Grand Slam offer comes from creating something that's extremely valuable and solving all of a client's problems to getting them to their dream outcome. And
Right.
then surrounded by that are different elements that make it more desirable. So you'll have scarcity, urgency, guarantees, and bonuses. And especially something like the guarantees and bonuses are things that will, and I'm using the term bonuses, but you don't have to present them in that way. These can be additional same day opportunities or add-ons or things that just over deliver in value to a prospect, because a lot of the businesses that we work with are in-person, brick and mortar, face-to-face businesses. They don't sell via webinar. They're not internet marketers. They're chiropractors, they're dermatologists, they're gym owners, they're whatever, right? And so they're not gonna make a stack.